Good morning, good afternoon, and good whatever time it is, and welcome to another episode of TREVANTINE, the podcast in which you get to hear the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of an 18-year-old or senior in high school being affected by the coronavirus. So it's affecting us all in different ways, and today on call with me, I have one of my oldest best friend's mothers to tell me about what it's like to be a mom during this whole pandemic and how it's affecting her and her family. So Miss Dorset, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Good morning, Trevor. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Julie Dorset. I'm a mom of a current senior at Liberty North, and he's not going to be happy, but I'm going to name him now. His name is Caleb Dorset, and he's a current senior at Liberty North.
So, how has this shelter in place quarantine been affecting you guys?
Well, first of all, what's interesting is I was working full time and I actually resigned from my job. I was a church secretary and I resigned from my job in January. So I was looking for a job. I'd had a few interviews, but nothing that I felt called to do. So I'd already kind of sort of been just hanging out at home, but it was different where I would be fairly active. I was volunteering at Hillcrest Hope, and also I would, go to coffee with friends or have lunch with friends. So that kept me fairly busy. Um, and then it was just before spring break that things really started ramping up with this, and they were talking about, oh, you're probably going to have to stay at home. And also, it was interesting how we kept getting emails from school about all the kids, you need to bring home your chargers and your laptops because you may be doing online learning after spring break. So I thought, that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that will work out. But I really, really hoped that that wasn't the case. And I was very hopeful that this would kind of die down and they could go back to school. And then toward the end of spring break, we get the email saying, well, they will have to do online learning until April 24th. And I thought, wow, this is getting real. Um, and so it's Caleb likes to sleep late, and I do too. We're not morning people. So I usually, after I get up and I kind of do my thing for a while, and then I'll check in with him. I will not tell you the exact hour that I check with him, but it's fairly late. And just check in with him and ask him if he's been doing his schoolwork online. And usually I'll see him with his laptop open, sitting on his bed, and he's pretty responsible, and I don't have to worry too much about it. But yeah, he's. I always check with him every day. I said, "Have you done your schoolwork?" And he says yes. And of course, I can get online to Power School to see his grades and so forth. And so it's different that Caleb is home all the time, which I kind of like it because the first couple of months of the year I was by myself, a lot at home, kind of boring, kind of quiet. But now that Caleb's home, it's really nice just to have someone else in the house, even though people that know who Caleb is, he's very quiet. But yeah, so it's just kind of quiet. We have our own rhythms. I've been doing a lot of reading. Also, the interesting thing, and I saw you guys talking about going to the gym, all the gyms are closed, but there's so many cool new ways that you can exercise. And actually, I've been doing this for a while. I don't know if you know about a friend of mine and I would do the Heritage Middle School steps outside every Wednesday. We'd run up and down the steps 10 times. And then a couple of months ago, I'm actually friends with Elizabeth Walls, who's the president at William Jewell, and she had posted a video of a drone going up the stairs, that large staircase outside at William Jewell, and I thought, ooh, that would be a fun staircase to run up and down. So I did it, and that is a really cool staircase. And plus, it's clean, it's even, unlike at the middle school where there's like smushed sandwiches or stray Jolly Ranchers on the steps. So I love doing that. So running up and down the stairs at William Jewell, I do 10 sets. Also, I love to go hiking, so I go to Smithville Lake frequently and hike on the trails. I like Watkins Mill. Also, a park that's really close to us here is Hodge Park in Kansas City, and that has a really neat hiking trail in the woods, and I've been doing that too. So it's kind of fun because this gives us an opportunity to think outside the box and do things differently. So it's actually kind of nice, different.
So it sounds like quarantine's treating you pretty well. Would you say that the transition was pretty seamless?
Uh, for me, yes, because I've been at home for a couple months anyway. But I was really concerned about Caleb. And of course, my heart hurts for all of you seniors, and especially with the news that we just heard yesterday that school is canceled for the rest of the school year. I was so hopeful that Missouri schools, because I know they hadn't announced it, Kansas had announced it several weeks ago that they were going to cancel through the end of the school year. But I was holding on. I thought, no, Missouri, hang on. Maybe they can go back at the beginning of May and have their graduation as it was supposed to be scheduled for May 17th. But then I was actually out yesterday grocery shopping, and when I got home, Caleb was helping me unload the groceries and said, "Had you heard the news?" And he told me that schools are canceled through the end of the year. And I thought, oh gosh, it's so odd because nothing like this has ever happened. So parents, especially, don't know what to do. um, of course, we all have graduation parties planned for our kids. I'd planned the date for Caleb's, gosh, almost a year ago. A lot of parents had, because it's such a busy time of year, and getting the venue and so forth. And I also know that a lot of seniors who had ordered the graduation announcements through Jostens came in this week, which now obviously is going to have the wrong date, which must be aggravating. I didn't order those particular Jostens invitations. I wanted to do my own, like through Shutterfly, and could customize and put his picture on it and also announce when his graduation party would be. So I have the announcements all done in Shutterfly, just waiting to click the button with the correct date. So now I need to figure out a new date for his party. I understand that Liberty Schools what's the new date for graduation? Like June 16th or something?
Oh, I'm not
Do you
sure.
know?
Uh-uh.
We got an email about it a couple weeks ago that they have backup plan to have graduation in June, and also prom to be held in mid-May. But it's just so weird because it's different, and I don't think people can wrap their brains around it of how it's all going to work out. So I just feel for you guys as parents. I know a lot of have seniors, and we're all just, I don't know if devastated, that's a big word, but yeah, heartbroken for you guys. And especially, and I feel for your parents too, because you're an only child. Caleb's an only child. This is like our only chance that we have a senior that's going to graduate. So, and also in other things I hadn't thought about, little kids in preschool, or those that are going from middle school into high school, that won't get to say goodbye to their friends and teachers at the end of the year. It's just really surreal. And it's kind of tough, and still the shock's kind of sinking in that this is real. So yeah.
As a parent, what have you been doing to help support Caleb, I guess, in this tough time?
Well, number one, parents who have teenage boys especially, we need to make sure that we have plenty of food in the house. um, so that at first was kind of a challenge. And uh, in the past, when Caleb had school, I never knew if he would be working and he wouldn't be home for dinner, or sometimes he taking a nap, or he might be out with you or friends, so he wouldn't be home for dinner. Well, now he's home for dinner every night. So I really had to start planning meals and making dinner again. So that's been actually very cool to make sure that I check with him, what kind of meals would you like me to make? And I'm totally open to that. And he'll let me know, hey, can we have this? Could you make that? And I say, sure. And actually, it's really a blessing in disguise, I think, that we do get to spend more time together and we are having more family dinners together. And it's giving me an opportunity to make things that he likes, because I'm only going to have a couple more months with him anyway before he leaves for college. So it's kind of like we get to be a little closer before he does go off to college. So I like it. And he is actually getting passionate about recipes too. I think a lot of people are too. You're at home, you might as well cook and make things. So that's what he's been looking up recipes too. And, he asked me to get some particular ingredients for things that he wanted to make. So I did yesterday. So that's the big thing. Make sure there's food in the house. So that's to support him. He's pretty self reliant otherwise. The big thing, of course, I know a lot of parents, and I'm kind of like, he can't get a haircut. So that's kind of making me edgy. And then, of course, with graduation coming up, that's going to be very interesting to see when things open back up. Obviously, there's going to be, huge backlog of people that need to get haircuts. And if it's right before graduation and so forth, that's going to be the most interesting thing that I am watching for. But other than that, he's very self sufficient. Just as long as I have food for him, support him in his schoolwork, and I keep in touch with him daily about how it's going for his schoolwork. Um, that's pretty much it. Actually, he's been helping me since he works at Target. If there's things I need and I know he's working that night, I'll say, hey, can you pick up some milk or whatever? And he will. So that's actually been kind of handy too.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what are your thoughts on online school? Obviously, it's not as good of quality as normal school. What do you have any strong opinions about it?
Um, I don't really have a strong opinion about it. It's kind of like they have to do it. There's no choice in the matter. I remember the podcast that you did with Bryn Mattis and Emily and Austin several weeks ago. And I can't remember which girl said it, but she said, maybe it's Emily said, I can't do online learning. And I think a lot of kids feel that way. Number one, it's just different. And you're used to going to school. I mean, especially seniors, you guys have been going to school for 13 years, and that's how it's always been. You go to a classroom and the teacher's up front and it's interactive, live in person. Now it's totally different. And I think a lot of kids are having a tough time adjusting to that. I personally, I know I would. I like, being able to be interactive. And I know Caleb has said some of his classes, I think algebra, you can still have a Zoom meeting and it's kind of like you're there in the classroom and the teacher writes examples on the whiteboard and so forth. But I think the teachers are challenged too. The teachers are thinking, well, how are we supposed to work this? What am I supposed to do? And it's all new for them too. And everyone's just kind of adjusting and doing the best that they can. Um, are kids learning as much as they would if they were actually at school? I can't answer that. Everybody's different. Um, and also I think about how is it different for like elementary school children. I don't know, because that's tough too, because elementary school children obviously need guidance from their parents, and their parents obviously need to be a lot more involved in helping them to learn, to make sure all the equipment is set up and technology is running smoothly so they can learn. So I don't know. It is what it is, and that's how we're having to do it. I know obviously university students have been having to do it, and also obviously a lot of universities, you take online classes and you can get your whole degree online. I have one of my good friends right now is attending Vanderbilt University. She started in January getting her master's degree. Um, so that's just how it is anyway. And it's kind of like this is the wave of the future with technology and how people are a lot of things online. So it's kind of like this is our trial run. You got to do it. That's how things are working out, and you don't have a choice, and just do the best that you can. Are especially seniors getting the education that they should, compared to if they were in a classroom right now? I don't know. But then you think about things like if they were in the classroom, there are live distractions too. Like, you have a crush on somebody and you're looking at them, staring across the classroom. Maybe I'm exaggerating this, but that distraction isn't there if you're on a Zoom meeting. But then again, on a Zoom meeting, can't you see everybody? And that's like the Brady Bunch thing, and
Hmm.
everybody in their little squares. I don't know. It's just different and new. So I don't know. I guess it's going to remain to be seen when they, get the statistics back, at the end of the school year or whatever, the benchmarks for learning, because I know obviously all the elementary school, all age levels do the testing. So that's actually going to be interesting to see what those benchmark results are from all these students learning online when we get those results back.
For sure. And I mean, you mentioned you have a friend going to college right now. There is a rumor that we might not even go into college, like in college, like we might do it online. Do you think that would be a tough transition for Caleb or any high schooler really?
I have not heard that rumor. Wow, wow, that's something I can't even wrap my brain around, because I'm so used to, back when I went to college in the 80s, that's what you did. You go to university. I went to University of Maine and had the whole college experience. You're living in the dorm, you go to your classes, you walk across campus to your classes, and that's just it. But back then there wasn't this technology. So for me, trying to even wrap my brain around it, it's I can't even envision it. It's hard. I need to think about that. As far as, I was excited for Caleb to go to college. He was planning to go to University of Central Missouri in Warrensburg, and which I think is a good choice for him. It's a smaller school, plus it's a little over an hour away from home, so he would be away from home, but um, still close enough. Uh, and I wanted him to have the college experience, live in a dorm and walk around the campus and so forth. So that makes me sad too if he won't get to do that. If this, I don't know, I hadn't thought about it. If this continues and he'll just keep online learning in the fall through University of Central Missouri, I guess this has been our trial run. And but I do think online college courses are going to be much more challenging, because obviously universities, they've been doing this for a while, this online learning, so they know what they're doing, and it will be a lot more challenging for him, a lot more in depth and detailed, and he'll be studying and spending a lot more time on schoolwork. But I'm confident he can do it. It's just weird to think about that he'll still be at home in the fall, because I hadn't thought about that. But we'll see what happens. I'm very hopeful that all of this will end by, I guess, June. If you looked at, I'm sure you saw the news this week that Wuhan, China, ended their stay-at-home order this week. It had been, what, 72 days, something like that. And so you kind of think, well, that could be us. We need to prepare for it. Is probably going to be another couple of months for us, which could bring us to what, like beginning of June. So I'm hopeful that this will be over in the summer and things will get back to normal. I don't know. Will there ever be normal again? That's another thing to think about. When you go grocery shopping, it's so just surreal going grocery shopping. Yeah, every week when I go grocery shopping, I go once a week, and every week there's something different that is being implemented, such as, at first they were wiping down the conveyor belt where your groceries go. Then, like, the next week I go and they have the plexiglass things on the conveyor belt. They're really sanitizing the carts, wearing gloves. Now, this, when I went yesterday, was the first time that I saw probably 60 to 70% of people shopping and working at the store were wearing masks, which I chose not to wear a mask, but it's like, is that going to be the wave of the future? Is that going to be how things are from now on? And you have the little stickers on the floor that say, put your feet here, stand 6 feet back from the person in front of you. It's also a weird feeling when you're grocery shopping. At first people weren't used to it, and people, you would brush by someone when you were shopping or reaching for an item on a higher shelf, and you kind of, say, excuse me, there's someone right next to you, and maybe your shoulder might bump them. Now it's like everyone is like, don't touch me. And even I could tell when you're going down an aisle, someone else will be coming the opposite direction, and it's like they change their mind. They think, oh, I don't want to go down that aisle because there's a person there, and they literally turn around. And you almost feel guilty if you're passing someone in the aisle. You're like thinking, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be this close to them. Are they going to get upset? I personally am not, I have no fear about this at all. I believe that all of this is happening right now. God knows what's going on. He has a plan. He's working this out. A lot of people are so deathly afraid, which is too bad. You can't live your life like that. I just try and carry on as normal as possible, which that's the best you can do, but don't live your life in fear. Um, just keep going, do the best that you can, be cheerful and hopeful that things are going to get better.
I like that approach. So today's Good Friday and Easter's this weekend. How's church going to work for you guys?
Well, my church is a very small church. Actually, my husband and I are on the praise team. He plays guitar and I sing, and I love doing that. And I have missed that when this all first started, like mid-March. Our church decided that our praise team would still record songs. So there were four of us that went and we recorded the songs. Then the pastor gave the message and it was all recorded. And then we played it via our church website on Sunday morning. But as time went by, our church leadership decided, we don't need a lot of people there at church. The less people that are there, the better. And so Tim and I decided it was for the best that we did not go to perform the music. So now it's just two people that perform the music and the pastor who gives the message. And they've tried a couple of different ways. They did live streaming one Sunday morning. Then they have also done a recording of it, which seems to go better. To me, it's very hard because I love to sing. That was just something I was so active in on praise team. And church is different because going to church is so important because it's a community of people. You need to see the people, you need to hug them, you need to check and see how they're doing, what's going on in their lives. That's what church is all about: connections and loving God, loving people. And that's been especially hard for me also because I used to work in a church, and I know it's different at the church that I worked at, that I can't see these people and check in on them and see how they're doing. I feel so disconnected, and I try my best to text people, email them to check in and see how they're doing. And I think it's challenging because we're not used to doing it that way. But so church now it's kind of weird. We don't watch together as a family like we would have, going to church and sitting there in church in the pews, because now that it's online and you can watch anytime and in your pajamas, um, it's different. And it was interesting last week. I don't know if my husband will get upset that I'm saying this, but it was a beautiful Sunday and he went fishing, but he had his phone with him. So he actually watched the church service at the same time that I did, but I was at home. He was out on Smithville Lake watching the church service. Caleb can watch it at a different time. So even that with our family, I kind of feel disconnected. Yeah, we should be watching it together. Tonight, there's a Good Friday service for my church. And I think this is kind of neat that it's been a challenge with communion. With the elements for communion, obviously, when you're at church, they give you the elements, the bread and the wine. So now people are talking about you need to provide your own elements. So a friend of mine posted on Facebook, I think she used goldfish as the bread and Kool-Aid for the wine. It doesn't matter. You can use anything. It's just a symbolism of it and what that means, that the bread represents Christ's body and the wine represents his blood. So we'll probably watch our Good Friday service this evening. And actually, I just made some bread this morning, and I think I don't have grape juice, but I have cherry juice. So we're going to do that. And then on Easter, it's that's really really hard because that's one of the biggest Christian holidays next to Christmas. And we have traditions where we'll go to church, dress up. I know Caleb hates it, but I'll make him wear a tie. And then we always take a family picture after church. um, so I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to work that this year. Also, we after church we go out to brunch, and obviously we can't do that this year. So I'm trying to figure out how it's going to work. I still want Caleb to at least put on a tie for 5 minutes so we can take a family photo. Our church is telling us, hey, send in your family photos and we'll post them on our Facebook page, even if you're wearing your pajamas. But I still want to take a family Easter photo because, well, not that it's the last one, but his senior year it would be. So we can't go out for brunch, so I bought things for an Easter dinner to have at home, which will be fine. Um, so yeah, it's gonna look a lot different this year, but I'm hopeful that the cool thing is with technology, I think a lot of people who wouldn't normally go to church are checking out online because it's not as, kind of like they're dipping their toe in the water and thinking, well, let me check this out. And the cool thing is, I have been able to watch a lot of different churches, and it's cool. Like on Sundays, I'll watch maybe two or three different churches to see how they do things. And all churches are just trying to get used to this and figure out how to do it. And so I think it's neat. I'm very hopeful that many people who don't normally go to church say, hey, well, this is, non-threatening, that I can just get online and watch a church and see how it is. And then maybe when things open back up and all of this is over, they will feel like, hey, they had a really cool online service. I think I want to go in person and check it out. So that would be really cool if that happened. So I'm hopeful for that. But yeah, this is just all so new, and everybody is experiencing this together, and we'll just figure it out as we go.
I like that. I like that. Well, I guess that's really all the questions I had for you today. Did you have any final thoughts or anything you wanted to get out?
Yeah, I just wanted to. I've been doing a lot of reading lately, and I think it's important for us to remember that there's a certain scripture that I like to remember, Romans 8:28, that all of this, even though it seems bad right now, God is working it out all for his purpose. It's all for his good. So something good is going to come from this time. So we just all need to be hopeful and see what it is, because it's going to be really cool. I know it seems sad and hard right now, with no graduations and proms and or delayed dates of those, but it's going to be really cool. Everyone just needs to sit tight and stay home and just listen to authority figures when they say stay home. Just, it's not going to kill you. I know I personally am an introvert, so it's kind of easy for me. There are some days where I'm climbing the walls and it's hard, and I just want to go have coffee with a friend, and I can't do that. But this isn't going to last forever. We're just in a season. This will pass. So use this time to your advantage. Like I said, do new things. Go try new workouts. Also, I've been doing yoga, which I have never done before. I'd like to do Pilates, but Adrienne, whoever's familiar with yoga with Adrienne, all of her yoga videos are free. So I've been doing that and I love it. So just think of this time as a new opportunity, a new way to do things. Spend time with your family, read. I know a lot of us women are thinking, oh, well, this is a time I should be cleaning the house because I have all this time and organize my closets. And I thought that at first too. And I had been doing quite a bit of cleaning, not a lot, but I just do a little bit at a time. Don't let it overwhelm you. Also, I'm working on writing a book about my experiences as a church secretary. So I tried to discipline myself to work on that, but that's been challenging too. But really just take this time to reset and refresh and rest. And I know I need rest. I'm sure a lot of people need rest, especially you seniors. And the best part about it is it's spring right now in our area of the country. Everything's blooming. It's beautiful out. Hope is here. Get outside and enjoy it. So that's what I have to say. Just hang in there, people. God is good. He's going to get us through this. Great things are coming.
Well, I appreciate that. We had a great conversation today. Um,
Yes, thank you for having me, Trevor. This has been great. And all of you Liberty moms of Liberty North students or Liberty High School students, reach out to me through Trevor if you want. We can talk, chat. I'd love to give you encouragement, whatever. But yeah, this is great. And I'm praying for all of you seniors too. I know this is hard and a uncertain time. You don't know what it looks like, but hang in there. It's going to get better. It's going to be great.
well, yeah, thank you. You have a great day. Keep washing your hands, and you gotta let me know when you get that book. Maybe I can look over it before you publish it.
Ooh, yes, I would love that for you to preview a couple of chapters.
That
So
sounds
thanks
exciting.
so much, Trevor. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sunshine today and happy Easter.
Thanks. Happy Easter. And that was the wonderful Miss Julie Dorset. I love her to death. She's a great person. One of my oldest friends' mothers I can remember. I've known Caleb since the third grade, and hanging out with him all the way through middle school, hanging out with him all the time. I got to talk to her a lot, and she's always been one of my gossip pals, and it was great talking to her. She had a lot of good stuff to say, so I'm glad I got to talk to her. Definitely, I think a lot of good stuff, a lot of good advice to pull from that. But yeah, that was a really good interview. I really enjoyed that one. But yeah, that was today's segment on how Corona is affecting us, and that's how it's affecting her family, the church aspect, the parent aspect, the school aspect. Everything's going to be different, and I mean, she's right. We just gotta keep sticking with it, and then eventually something good's going to come out of this. But now let's go to today's headlines, coming from the New York Times as of 10 minutes ago. First headline we have is the global toll approaches 100,000 people as the New York region again tallies in the highest daily death count. That's ridiculous, but it's going to reach a peak at one point and then it'll only drop from there. So hopefully we can hope that this is going to be the peak coming up pretty soon. The next headline we have is that national rivalries are jeopardizing access to medical goods that may determine who lives and who dies. So in this article, we find that 69 countries banned exports of protective gear and equipment. So basically, a lot of countries aren't exporting what they used to because they're looking out for their own countries first, and that's a very interesting approach. It's hard, especially in a time like this, because every country is being affected by the same disease, the same problem, and determining who gets what is going to be the hardest thing. And it's tough because you see people, and especially with the United States, we see that we have stuff, but we also have people dying in our own country. We got to protect these guys before we protect everyone else. So it's a tough and sticky situation, which it's going to happen. I mean, help your neighbor, but don't be greedy. It's we got to help them in the ways we can, but we can't give up our own freedom and everything else. Next headline we have is that that Michigan tightens rules barring travel between homes. This article is very interesting, forbidding people from traveling between homes beginning this Saturday. They're still able to go exercise. They're still able to go out and run, but they are unable. Um, Certain residents are unable from traveling to vacation properties, whether they own them or not. So even if you're renting a vacation property, you can't go there. But like if you have a lake house, you really still can't go there. I think this is going to be a big step, especially with the rest of the United States. And I think it's just going to start dominoing after this. I think this is going to be the first stage of really stopping this virus, and that's just not letting people travel even between homes. That's intriguing, especially if it's a home you have, say, in the city, but then you have a home out in the country. You can't go to that country home. It's going to be uh, astonishing to see what happens to that and see who gets affected by which ways and what comes out of it. I feel like people might start freaking out and not wanting to trust the government anymore. But I mean, Miss Dorset brought up a good point on that. We got to just listen to the authority figures. Next headline we have is that how many people have died in New York, more than the official count. It's going to be hard to recall, like after major wars, we don't know the exact number of people who passed away, who sacrificed their life, but we can get a good estimate. And something like this, we don't know everyone that's passing away. There's so many people passing away at one time. It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how this all comes up in the end, but we can only just keep waiting. Next headline we have is the antibody test will soon be available, Anthony Fauci says, but they are not a silver bullet. So what this was talking about is that there's a test to determine whether a person who has been affected by the COVID-19 disease, the coronavirus, has therefore some level of immunity, if they would be like safe to go travel anymore and like go back into the world. This test is going to come out pretty soon to see if people who have had it are good to go back into the world. Several countries like Britain and Italy are trying to develop a similar strategy in order to keep going and just keep people working. I think that's the biggest thing, is that if someone catches it and they get through it, could they go back to work and start stimulating the economy again? That's going to be something very intriguing to see how this plays out in the next few days. Next headline we have is a mostly virtual Easter is expected, but some congregations plan to defy orders. There are still a few holdout churches planning to defy local and federal officials for Easter, planning an in-person service, while several others are going virtual. That's going to be a very interesting thing to see. A lot of people, faith takes over, and a lot of people think that they're able to still go out and like meet, and I understand, but I feel like in a time like this, when everyone is highly contagious and everyone can just give out this disease, just watch your service at home. Like what Miss Dorset was saying, the best thing to do is probably just to watch your services at home and enjoy it from the comfort of your own house. And though it might not be the same, it won't be the same. It's going to be different. It's just something that has to be done if you want to maintain this curve flattening. And if we don't do anything to flatten this curve, it's just going to keep getting worse. Oh, Omega commented, can they legally tell you that you're not allowed to go to your own house, and how will they track if one is on your lockdown house? That's a great question. I am no businessman, no lawman, but it is a intriguing law to see being put out that you're not allowed to leave your own house, especially if it's your own property. And how would they know if you're leaving? Besides maybe if you're driving or like walking there. I feel like this is where the authoritarianism comes in, and it's tough whenever countries are getting wound up into something like this. And it's going to be a trial and tribute to see what happens in the future, and I don't know, dude. Yeah, that's a great point. Next headline we have is California's governor notes a drop in ICU cases, but warns that one data point is not a trend. Yes, that is a great thing. Good question, Omega, according to Mr. Spencer Troyer. And yeah, that is a great question. But yeah, dude, it's dropping a little bit. China's trying to say that they're dropping a little bit. let's hope that everyone's dropping a little bit, because once this starts dropping, and then we could return to normal life. And I guess here's this last biggest headline I have for you guys today, and this is for the Kansas City people, really. It says 19 hours ago, Missouri Governor Mike Parsons ordered schools to remain closed for the rest of the academic school year due to COVID-19. Now, as a senior in high school, that hurts me. It hurts a lot, you know. The last day of school was a half day, and we were all just kind of out of it. You know, we weren't, no one was really feeling it. Everyone just wanted to go on the spring break and have a good time. And when I heard the news, at first I was like, online school for the rest of the year, it's going to be easy breezy, lemon squeezy, nothing to worry about. But I started thinking about it more and more, and it's like, I won't see my friends again. I won't really see my teachers again. I never got to walk through the hallways for one last time. And it just kind of, it hit me all at once, and it was strange. You know, before we left, it was always, I always had the mentality that there's always going to be another blank. There's always going to be another day at school. Always going to be another hour. There's always going to be another prom, another homecoming, another chance to hang out with my friends. And one day, today, yesterday, it just hit me really hard that I'll never have that again. And you know, it's tough being a senior. You know, we can only stay strong and get through this. Nothing we can do about it now. It's just when you don't have closure on your life, and you don't have closure on what's going on, I think that's what's tough for everyone. And it's, you take a lot for granted. You see, now, I typically, I've always been someone that lives in the moment. But looking back at it now, and like I was on my run this morning, I like to think a lot, and I was just thinking about how I took a lot of that for granted. And even though I like to say that I was in person, I was in school thinking about the moment I was and just enjoying the moment, I was always looking forward towards that next task, that next deadline, the next homework assignment that was due. And it just kept getting me out of the moment, pulling me out until now, where it hits me finally that I'm never going to high school ever again. And I'm going to finish high school online. I'm going to have my graduation online. I don't know. We don't know how it's going to play out. But it's just tough. You know, I whenever it hit me last night, I was like extremely sad. I was just thinking about how my life has been and how great my 4 years of high school was. And like my plan is I don't want to live these glory days. I don't want to be like Bruce Springsteen's fictitious tales of people who just live in their glory days. I want to be someone that lives in the moment and just keeps making glory days every day. But you know, you don't think about what's great in the moment. You know, I was looking at a lot of my old vlogs. Mistake, never do that. Never watch your old videos, because it makes you really sad. And it's like, it's crazy to think that when all this stuff was happening, I was vlogging, I was doing all this fun kiddie stuff. I never realized that might be the last time, you know? And it was just like, I did it for fun. I'm glad I recorded it, because now I can go back 20 years and be like, wow, that was really fun. But even now, like stuff that happened 2, 3 months ago, like 6 months ago, even, it's just hitting me that it's like there'll never be another opportunity for that. And it's crazy. And like this morning, my dad was watching the movie Grease, and you know, in Greece, it's their senior year, and it's the first day of school, and it's like, whoa, I'll never have one of those again. And what's potentially even scarier is I might not have a first day of high school, or no, college, in class. I'm not going to have the summer orientation because of this COVID-19. One dude had to eat a bat, and then all of a sudden, I'm not going to school anymore. But yeah, that's just my that was my Trev talk real quick, my Trevantine, how it's affecting me and what I'm doing today. I think that it just hit me really hard yesterday, and I had to get my thoughts on tape. Like Miss Dorset said, we got to stay strong. Something great's coming around this corner. And once we get over this hump, expect something great. It's gonna be fantastic. I hope this podcast doesn't go on for 100 plus episodes. I hope it maybe stays to 50 or so. Either way, I'm gonna keep doing these every day except Sunday, and I'm gonna keep on enjoying it, keep on getting new guests, and keep trying to have a good time. I think that the toughest part about this is not seeing your friends, but it's a great time to connect with people that you don't necessarily connect with in real life. For example, I've been playing video games with a lot of people I go to school with. I wouldn't say I was great friends with them. I would say we were really good friends. We knew each other. We knew what we liked and interests each other had, but we never were as close as we are now. We've been playing CS:GO and stuff like that every day, and it's been a fantastic ride. But you just stay strong, guys, and we'll get through this together. So, yeah, something great's going to come around the corner. This is going to be the way it is for a little bit. Hopefully, not too long. Keep washing your hands, and yeah, that was today's episode of TREVANTINE. I hope you guys enjoyed, and catch you guys on the north side tomorrow.